His sister was the recognized school beauty, admired as a genius by everyone. But he, in contrast, was labeled the ultimate freeloader, all because the ability he awakened was the lowest tier, weak electricity. Classmates mocked him, saying he'd end up raising pigs at home and living off his family. What they didn't know was that he actually possessed the legendary twin ability physique. On top of that, he had awakened a supreme power, the violet sky, divine thunder. This world existed parallel to Blue Star. Human civilization developed in roughly the same way. But here, terrifying colossal beasts roamed the land. To fight against them, people awakened supernatural powers. Everyone upon reaching adulthood would awaken their own ability, each one unique. These powers were ranked across 9 tiers, and most people only awakened between F and D rank. His power, however, was the very bottom level weak electricity. Even if he pushed himself to the limit, its force was weaker than a cheap stun baton. That alone made him the butt of ridicule and scorn throughout his class. Even his childhood sweetheart Lu Ruan urged him to switch his college entrance exam focused to liberal arts, so he could at least live out a quiet, ordinary life. In the Great C Nation, higher education was divided into 2 tracks, liberal, arts, and martial. Martial track students were required to enter designated maps during the national exam and fight beasts to the death. That's why anyone with an ability below D rank was advised to choose liberal arts. In other words, to voluntarily give up their powers. By contrast, those who succeeded in the martial track could enter ability institutes. After years of training under mentors, they had a chance to break past the no-rank stage and become true ranked awakeners. Countless powerhouses had risen from there. Lu Ruyan wanted him to choose liberal arts because she feared he might die in a martial exam. But a secure job meant nothing. When facing a beast, he would still be helpless. After all, his parents had been killed in a beast tide that invaded their city. In the end, he still wrote his name down on the martial track enrollment form. From then on, he practically lived in the training hall, pouring all his energy into honing his abilities. From the very day of his awakening, he had chosen the spear as his weapon. Yet after 2 1/2 years of training, his mastery remained stuck at the beginner stage, showing no progress. Just as he sighed over his bleak future, a blue virtual window suddenly popped up in front of him. He shot upright in shock. It was the long-delayed arrival of the system. Opening the novice gift pack, he received an S-rank ability and 200 ability points. He was ecstatic. In the entire Great Sia, only 1 S-rank awakener appeared every 2.5 years. Once such a person appeared, Topmies would fight over him, showering him with resources until he rose to become the strongest of his generation. With a wave of his hand, he opened the ability gift pack. Ding! The system congratulated him for obtaining an S-rank ability, Violet Sky, Divine Thunder. The sky above the city darkened with streaks of violet lightning tearing through the night. The 3rd Legion stationed in the city immediately activated the highest defense protocol. Such a terrifying thunder phenomenon made many believe a powerful lightning beast was about to invade. Staring excitedly at his palm, he thought, as expected of an S-rank ability, Violet Sky Divine Thunder. With this power, I'll definitely shine in the martial exam. He then raised his hand again to open the ability point pack. The system explained, ability points could be earned by slaying beasts and spent to upgrade levels and skills. His mind buzzed with excitement. Defeat monsters to level up, simple and brutal, just my style. The system panel showed he currently had 2 basic skills, / basic spear technique and / basic lightning gale slash. In essence, abilities were born from the fusion of human physique and spirit after he allocated points into both attributes. A warm current surged through his body, nourishing his blood and sharpening his thoughts, leaving him clear-headed. Looking at his panel, he realized he already had the strength to get into the nation's top ability academy. The only thing weighing on his mind was whether he could claim the title of Jiangnan Province's top scorer. Thinking of those geniuses who had been trained by master tutor since childhood, he couldn't help but feel a little uncertain. With that thought, he decided to test his progress at the martial hall. He kicked his spear up from the ground, spinning it deftly in his hands, forming a dazzling spear flourish. Just then, the door suddenly burst open with a loud bang. A group of firefighters rushed in, flustered and urgent. They explained they had received a call reporting a fire here. He quickly waved his hands, explaining that it was just an energy surge caused by his ability training. The firefighters exchanged glances, then let out a sigh of relief. Who would have thought such commotion came only from a student's practice surveying the wrecked training room? They couldn't help but remark to make such a scene just from training. This kid's really something. Downstairs, neighbors asked with concern, "Was the fire okay just now?" Su Jingming smiled and replied, "It's fine. Uncle Yang already took care of it." The neighbors nodded in relief, saying, "Good to hear. Judging by your outfit, you're heading to the martial hall, training even the day before the exam. Impressive." In this world, anyone who wanted to advance from an awakener to a true ability user had to temper both body and mind to increase their power. Thus, martial halls offering training grounds and instructors came into being. But not every family could afford a private training room. The two most famous martial hall chains in Great Sa were Thunder Hall and Bear Hall. Bear Hall charged an annual fee of 100,000, catering to wealthy students, while Thunder's Hall was the only one open to high schoolers free of charge. When Su Jingming stepped into the hall, he immediately spotted a familiar figure. It was his cousin, Tang Chi. He walked over and greeted her. "Sis Chi, what brings you to Thunder Hall?" Tangi explained she was only there to accompany a friend. Su Jingming nodded without pressing further. "I see. Well, I'll let you get back to it. I'm heading to the training room." As he left, Tangi frowned slightly. Something feels different about him. Beside her, Xiaoya whispered curiously. "Chi, who was that?" "He's pretty handsome," Tangi replied. "That's Su Jingming, my cousin. He's also a senior like us, taking a martial exam tomorrow." Just then a boy walked over and teased, asking so many questions. "Shia, are you crushing on Shia?" admitted bluntly. "With looks like that, as long as his strength isn't terrible, having him as a boyfriend would be pretty impressive." Tangi, however, poured cold water on the idea. "Him? You'll be disappointed. He only awakened an E-rank ability." The boy chuckled. "An E-rank ability and still daring to take the martial exam. Bold, I'll give him that."